Hey guys, Dr. Duce back again with another great set of music tips for you. Now a little while back I did a video showing you how to use the Logic Arpeggiator plugin to create those trap hi-hat rolls that you love. Now today I'm going to show you how to take things that little bit further by creating a dedicated hi-hat instrument with all of the divisions included. Okay, let's get started. Now there are a few parts to this tutorial and believe me, it's really special. Don't forget, you've only got to create this once and save it. But just like anything that's worthwhile having, you've got to put in a little bit of work. So just bear with me and follow the steps, and believe me, it will be worth it in the end, okay? So what I've got here is just a scratch idea of a production that I'm working on. I'll give you a little taste. Okay, cool. So what it needs in terms of the rhythm section is some hi-hats. So I want to use that sort of trappy hi-hat roll vibe to add that extra flavor to this instrumental. So the first thing we want to do is create a new software instrument. So we're going to go here and we're going to click on software instrument and create. Okay, now we want it to be an Ultrabeat. Of course, I've got it already set up. Ultrabeat drum synth. Now, I am by no means an Ultrabeat specialist. This module is extremely powerful and has been part of Logic Pro for a long time. I tend to use the EXS24 sampler for most of my drums and other sampling needs. However, for this particular task, we're going to be using Ultrabeat because it's the best option for what we want to accomplish. Now, for those of you who aren't very familiar with Ultrabeat, it does look a bit daunting, and there are tons of video tutorials online that kind of break things down, kind of shows you what each section represents and you know how to operate it. We're just going to do some very basic stuff for this actual tutorial, so you don't need to worry too much about you know what each section does. But of course, you know, go online and check out how the actual plugin works if you want to go more deeply into it. Okay, so it's a drum synth, and what we're going to do, we're going to load up a preset that will allow us to create our own drum instrument from scratch. So we're going to go to Factory, Drum Kits, Drag and Drop Samples. Okay, so all of these here are cells, and there are no samples loaded in any of these cells. For this actual demonstration, I'm using my trusty Korg NanoPad 2 just to trigger the actual drums. So if you notice here, I'm pressing on the NanoPad and you can see the triggers on screen. The NanoPad actually has got 16 drum pads. I'm going to be using the lower 8 pads for the demonstration. So essentially what we're going to do is load some hi-hat samples across 8 cells. Okay, so we're going to have 8 divisions and we're going to load 8 samples. I'm actually going to use the same hi-hat sample for all 8 cells. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press on my first drum pad, and you can see it light up here. Now you can use a MIDI keyboard or just use the mouse, and make sure that you've selected this cell right here. Okay, you can click on the cells and move up and down, but we're just clicking here and we're making sure this one is selected. Now I'm going to go to my Body Blows Drum Kits sample pack. I'm going to load number 19 from the hi-hats bank, and I drag and drop into this area right here. Now if I press my drum pad, okay, so that's the first pad, that's the second pad, nothing on the others. Okay, so the next one I'm going to do is this one here, and I'm going to repeat the process. Make sure I click here so that this here is selected. Let's go back a sec. If I click here, you can see the sample is loaded. Now I click here, there's nothing loaded, okay, because we are looking at another cell. Okay, so now back again to my hi-hats, number 19, drop that in there. Okay, so we've got one here, so third one is here. Okay, So I'm going to repeat this process. Again, number 19, and drag and drop. Okay, so I'm going to repeat this process from 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to end up on this D note up here, okay? So I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so that's all done now. So let's have a listen. These are all my pads. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All of them are loaded up, okay? Now the next phase is what we want to do is we want to label all of the cells, and this is an important part. Okay, so here's a sticky that I've created with all of the divisions that I'm going to be using for this hi-hat instrument. I'm going to start with 1/8 and work my way to the top, okay? So you come here and you double click where it says sample and you type in 1/8. You move to the next sample, which is this one here, and you type in 1/8 trip. Then you move to the next one, which is this one here, and you type 1/16. Okay, and you work your way through. So I'm going to go offline again and finish this off, and I'll be back with all of the cells renamed. Okay, so that's all done, and let's just check that out by pressing the pads. 1/8 triplet, 1/16, 1/16 triplet, 132, 132 triplet, 164, 164 triplet. Now, so we've got all of our cells labeled. What we're going to do now is we're going to save this as a master. So we're going to go to, so click in this box here, go to save as, and this will automatically save this as a new patch under the Ultrabeat instrument folder. So I'm going to call this Trap Hats Master. Now the next thing we want to do is we're going to go through and we are going to switch off all of the cells that we've just programmed. Now over here is the oscillator. Well, in fact, this has got, I think it's got two, yes, oscillator 1, oscillator 2 here. So this is switched on at the moment. So we're going to click on this and we're going to click here to switch that off. So now if I press that pad, nothing sounds. That's the next one. But this one is switched off. And I'm going to go to this one, click here and switch that off. So we've got 1, 2, 3, go to this one and switch that off, and so on. We work our way through switching all of the pads off that we've just created. Okay, so that probably is a bit weird that, you know, we've just created all of those sounds, we've all imported all those sounds, and now we've just switched them off, but trust me, it will make sense in the end. Okay, so I'm going to go through my pad, my drum pad again. I'm hitting the pads, and as you can see, or you can hear, there are no sounds being played back. Okay, we are going to save this as our master again. So we go back here and we save. That's cool. Now at this stage, we're going to start creating the individual hat instances, okay, for the different divisions. So all we need to do now is click on our first cell right here, switch that on. Okay, right, and that's all we do for that one. And then we go here and we go save as, and I'm going to call it Trap Hats 1/8. Okay, I now switch that off. I move to the next one and switch that one on. And I'm going to save as Trap Hats 1/8 triplet. Switch that one off. Go to 1/16, switch that on. Save as Trap Hats 1/16, and so on. So I'm going to go offline and sort this out. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone through and I've saved all of my trap hi-hats. You've got your triplet here, 1/8, 16th, 32, 64th, and the triplets. And I've made sure that I've switched all of the relevant oscillators on or off. So this bit is important. I want you to make sure you do this because it will cause you problems if you don't. Make sure you go through and you click. So we're on Trap Hats 1/64 triplets. So I'm going to go through, click on 1/8 triplet, make sure that this is switched off. Check and double check, because you will be overlaying samples, and it's just going to sound horrible because you'll be doubling up on things that you shouldn't be doubling up on. So I've gone through, and that's cool, and I'll do that. Well, I've already done that for all of the others. Okay, so that is Ultrabeat done. We come out of there, make sure you save your production. Okay, so far we've imported samples into Ultrabeat. We've created and saved new instances of the Ultrabeat instruments. Okay, so I'm going to just get rid of some of these random tracks that are just sitting here. So we delete that one. Now we're moving to the next phase. So make sure you follow this one. You come up here to MIDI effects and you go to Arpeggiator. And we're going to set the first one to 1/8. And we close that. And now we're going to press Y on the keyboard, and we're going to hover just right next to Ultrabeat here. Click on this arrow, and we are going to choose Trap Hat 1/8. Let's try that out on the keyboard. Okay, I'm just holding a single note on the keyboard, well, in my drum pad. I'm not tapping it, and that note is repeating. Okay, right. What we're going to do now is we are going to duplicate this instrument. And to do this is you can hold down the command and press D, and that automatically duplicates. We want 8 of these in total. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and now we go back to this one, and again we hover over here and we select 1/8 triplet, and just work your way through, hover over there, 1/16, go back to this one, hover, 16th triplet, and so on. I'll just finish this up and I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so I've assigned all of the relevant Ultrabeat instances to these tracks. Now I'm going to Command S to save. Okay, make sure you save your progress as you go along. And if you remember, we started off with the arpeggiator being set to 1/8 on the first instance, which is there, and that's now repeated with each of the others, but we need to now go in and change that. So for each one, we go in and we change to 1/8 triplet. Remember, triplet, not dotted. Cool, so that's 1/8 triplet, 1/16. Just click on there, click on here, 1/16, it's there, X out of that, 1/16 triplet, click once here, click once here, 1/16 triplet, here we go, out of that, and so on. So now on each of these instruments, I've got the relevant arpeggiator setting. So if I was to go to that first instrument and I press OK, move to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Okay, cool. The next bit is really important, so pay attention. What you want to do is make sure the first instrument is selected. Hold the Shift key down and press the bottom one so that you've selected all. And now you use the key command, Command Shift D, and we are going to create a summing track. This is a track stack, which is a fantastic function or facility or option that's in Logic Pro X. And we're going to create this summing track stack. Bang. Okay. Now I'm going to label this sum as Trap Hats instrument. Okay, cool. And now here's the exciting bit. Just by selecting this top layer, I'm going to hit my drum pads There you go. Just created a new instrument for my trap hats, and that there, as you can see, all I need to do is sit here on this top layer. I can adjust all of the volumes by this single volume controller. Okay, and I mean, I've done a couple of videos. You'll see in the description. In fact, I'll put some cards up on the how to create track stacks, also how to use also a link to my other video on creating trap hi-hats. But this final bit is also really important. Okay, so don't go anywhere yet. This last bit is also very important. Now, I've also got a video on this final stage, which is saving custom tracks and channel strips, whether it be software instrument tracks or audio tracks or buses. Now, what we want to do now is click on our summing track. And over here, this is really important because it's something that's often missed. In fact, it took me ages to figure out where this save button was, but here it is. But I've done all the hard work for you. So just down here, you click save. And now I'm going to save it as trap hats instrument. Let's call it. And now I'm going to hit save. Bang. And there we go. Under user patches, trap hats instrument. Now, if I were to create a new software instrument and I was to hit create there, and I was to set this to no plugin. If I'll go to user patches, there we go, trap hat instruments. And there's our new instance. There are all of our instruments in there, and there you go. So we're on to a winner right here, and I'm just going to do a quick demonstration of how I'm going to use this patch for this production. Just going to pull the volume down for now. What we want to do is avoid clipping and overloading. So it's still a bit too loud. Just make sure that you're clicked on the main summing track. Yeah, that's okay. That'll do. Okay, as long as you're not going into the red for now. So this is just going to be nice and freestyle, and I'm just going to play back the track, and I'm going to just play over the top with my different hi-hat divisions, and let's see what we come up with. Right, quick and dirty. I'm just going to quantize that and play it back. Q on the keyboard, and let's have a listen. Cool. A last couple of things that you can do, just when you go into your piano roll editor, and I'm just gonna zoom out so we can see everything. Now we've got one or two notes which are overlapping. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to Command A. We're going to go to Edit, trim. Note to remove overlaps with selected. And then we're going to hit shorten. And that way we won't be overlapping and having two sets of hi-hats playing at the same time. And the final thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Command 9 on the keyboard and choose here fixed velocity. And we're going to fix the velocity at, let's say, about 90. We can always change that. That way we have an even spread of velocities all the way down. Everything's exactly the same. So I'm just going to play back this passage right here, and that should be it. There you go. Okay, so as always, I really do hope that you've learned something. I certainly find this whole process really useful, and I'm sure you will too. As always, make sure you share, comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. So do remember to drop a comment. You know, it's always great to hear from you, and I'll be back with more real soon. I'm Dr. Duce. Peace.